absolute cinema. The Cyberpunk collab is here. I don't know if you've played it or not. I just finished playing it. I'm on the moon, looking down on Earth. I'm farming Aura over there. Look at me. Rover's so cool, by the way. I keep forgetting how cool Rover is. A traveler could never. That guy's a bitch. But here we are. It's the end, and we have a few questions to answer. How big was the collab? How good was it? And also, is it good enough for us to, let's just say, tolerate the new predatory tactics in the collab banners? All right, I feel like these are very, very important questions that we have to ask ourselves, and we're going to be answering today. So let's start with the first one. Is it big enough? Now, if we go over here to Steam, you will notice that Wuthering Waves have had probably the biggest peak in concurrent players in its history. So if I go, for example, Max, since it was released on Steam, because I think it came around, what version is that? 2.4. So I think it started around 2.4 is when it hit Steam with 32K, right? As a new game, free to play, considering the quality of it, that's pretty big, but it does not compare to the new peak it has, well, 49,000. That's like 49,500 players. That's a lot of people. And obviously you will notice typically Wuthering Waves peaks a lot in new version releases, in true gacha fashion or new live service games fashion, really, but it never peaked as much. Obviously there's a lot of hype, obviously there's a lot of excitement towards this collab, and I feel like the numbers show that it was indeed a huge hit. Now, how good is, well, the content, right? How good is it? But first, a word from today's sponsor. Do you want to buy more Lunas to play Wuthering Waves, but the prices are just too damn high? Well, I got the solution for you. Loot Bar is the most affordable and safest packs trading platform on the market. Loot Bar offers 18% off your Wuthering Waves purchases with an additional 6% off for new users. Use my link in the description box, or a grand total of 24% off your Wuthering Waves purchases. The process is obviously very simple. Choose the pack you want, enter the information required, and bada bee bada boom, you will have your order delivered in a very short time. Security on the internet is very important. Loot Bar has a high score of 4.9 on Trustpilot and has received tens of thousands of reviews, which is enough to show that their service is not only safe, but very effective. So what are you waiting for? Go get your 2D anime baddie for a cheaper price using my link in the description. Thank you, Loot Bar, for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to it. I will give the story all in all a 9.5 out of 10. The reason why obviously I'm not giving the last 0.5 is because it needs to be total perfection. Like every frame, every character, let's just say behavior need to be on point, and obviously that's just slightly impossible, right? That's why like my top is always going to be 9.5. But the one thing I have to give a 10 is definitely Rebecca. Rebecca, I look, I watched cyberpunk anime a long time ago, around its release, and I forgot, maybe it was because of the setting, because Rebecca didn't really stand out a lot in the cyberpunk universe. However, in here, in Wuthering Waves, where, you know, the characters speak a little, they're well-mannered, you know, the mannerism is pretty good. She shines a lot. I mean, when she said, what the fuck is a tacit discord, in my opinion, she just stole the show immediately. That was the most based line I've ever heard a character say. And also, I feel like she also had the coldest pull-up. I think Lucy, there was this scene where she was about to go against Adam Smasher, and then Rebecca just pulls up out of nowhere, and she's just like, the fuck are you doing, or something like that. She's just peak. Like Rebecca just steals the show, and it was a good reminder of how good the characters are, because if you played the story, you know what happened. If you watch the anime, of course, you also know what happened. And I like the story, let's just say, the type of story they're telling of moving on. I really like that type of stories, because sometimes the people that were in your life, that made your life the way it is, that made you feel the way you are, that, let's just say, maybe sometimes created some level of either it's happiness, stability, whatever the form it is, whether it's friendship, romance, again, whatever form it takes. You, at some point, whether it's through death, you know, the life cycle, or just also life doing its thing, where sometimes people just drift apart, sometimes people just have to take different paths to reach their own individual goals. You separate. You're no longer together, you're no longer in each other's lives as much as you want to, and you have a choice to make. Or sometimes you're not even in your lives, period. Well, you have a choice to make, whether you're gonna live with their phantoms of basically the life that made you feel whole, that made you feel stable, etc., even though they're not here, and you keep withholding yourself from experiencing new things, or you move on. And I feel like that's a very powerful message that the collab here does give to the character Lucy, which is the main character of the story in here, of course. And it picks up where the anime left off. If you haven't watched the anime, it's basically where it left off. It shows the story of Lucy basically having to move on. And I really like at the end where the cat told her, we can make it so that you stay here. And she's like, no, I have to go back. And that's a very powerful message. Sometimes it's just a matter of habit as to why you're holding on to the things you think are very important to you. But the reality is those things are over. They're gone. And you owe it to yourself to move on and live your life too. And that's what the people that were there would want for you as well. And so that's a very beautiful message. Also, I feel like there was some setting up with David. I wouldn't be surprised if David becomes a playable character in the future. They have the model. I mean, fuck. I mean, are we going to talk about that real quick? They have the model. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if Cyberpunk gets a rerun. Obviously, this is a success. We're seeing a new peak in player base. I'm pretty sure a lot more money is being spent. We're going to talk about that very soon when it gets to the gacha aspect of it all. But considering the success it obviously hit, I wouldn't be surprised if if they make a rerun and David could be the free-to-play character, right? They could just give maybe a free David. A second Rebecca wouldn't be that bad, I guess. Like they could go, okay, we're rerunning this. You can get the free Rebecca again, but you also have a chance to get Lucy, but also David now. That wouldn't be surprising to me. Or maybe another character from the Cyberpunk universe to be there as well, to be free again. Kind of like what they did with Honkai Star, because I feel like when you look at collabs, they go about it with one free character and one other character that is the gacha character. I think we've seen this as well with Devil May Cry in PGR as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see in the future a rerun of Lucy and Rebecca with maybe David and also another character. Because I don't think this is the end. Considering what they did in the story, I feel like there is a little bit more excuses they can do and give to Lucy to want to come back to the Wuthering Waves universe. It sucks that she said she tied up all the loose ends. That pissed me off. But maybe that's not the case, right? They could always find an excuse to bring her back and make the new characters be available to play. That would be nice. But obviously they made it so that all loose ends are tied up. So if it is the end, because obviously they have to go with Cyberpunk and talk with them again to if they want to do yet another wave of collaboration with them. And they didn't want to have like an open loose end, right? They kind of give hints that maybe Lucy could come back if she wants to, or something could happen where she might have to intervene, right? Something once again slipped through the cracks of dimensions and got to the Wuthering Waves universe. So Lucy pulls up to help fix us again. Maybe this time the Phantom that is more solidified is David. That would be my hope as well. Obviously, there's a bit of copium and hopium here for David to be playable in the future. I think he would be a very, very cool character. You know, his E could be like slowing time and everything when he's too fast and stuff. That'd be fucking cool. So obviously, whether it's the already experienced story or a hope for a potential new one, tells us one thing: this story and the content in itself is a solid just 9.5 out of 10. I wish I could give it a 10, but obviously Rebecca's a 10 out of 10. We all know that. Now, is this enough for us to turn a blind eye to the predatory tactics that have been employed? Well, we kind of have to help each other out with, let's just say, more data. We go over here to the impact on the meta, which I feel like is a very important box a character has to check for, let's just say, for it to be more valuable in players' eyes. Because I feel like, for me personally, a character has to check 3 boxes, and if they do, they're basically a must-pull. Power, their impact on the meta, aesthetics, how cool they are, etc., and the characteristics, you know, how they are as a character. Do you relate to the character? I feel like everybody can relate to every single character. Every character just maxes out on certain traits that everybody has, really. I feel like they kind of make them as relatable as possible to the general audience, so that way more likely than not, people are gonna feel, let's just say, relate to the character and want to pull them because they see a bit of themselves in that character. It's very helpful, those little mental gymnastics, to want to make you buy something, because I feel like the best types of advertising and marketing is to have an emotional connection to the thing you want to buy. That's just very powerful. That's just insane 100 level marketing. All right. So, and also finally there's this 4th box, which is obviously collectability. Collectability is because of reruns, because of the nature of reruns, collectability isn't that big of a deal. However, this time around, since we don't know if there's going to be a rerun or not, however, if we look at Honkai Star Rail, one could consider that there might be a second wave of a rerun because you know, they have a second wave in Honkai Star Rail now, but with 2 new characters. My hope is Wuwa does the same. Hopefully they will, and they probably will. Give it like a 70% chance of it happening because, well, Wuwa likes, Kuro likes to do what Hoyo does, all right? Hoyo sets a standard, Kuro improves upon it, and now we have also NTE doing that, and so on and so forth, right? That's what basically the song and dance these companies are doing with each other. Now, if we go over here to the tier list, you will notice the new one, Lucy, is tier 0.5 at S0 with the partner Rebecca, which, let's face it, everybody will have. That is pretty good, but when you consider how hard it is to obtain, and also if you go over here to the tier 0 of better characters, if not tier 0.5 of characters that were already in the game, that are obviously better than her. We got Iono, Galvarena, Carthathea, and Augusta. Those were in the later half of Septimont, right? In the Renacida story in Septimont. Also, Carthathea is, well, she's like the Archon type of characters. Those tend to be always powerful enough. Of course, not our girl Jinsey. Justice to my girl Jinsey, for fuck's sake. We have Augusta, right? This is a very popular character, free-to-play friendly because you can just use more Tefi. Sugrika, Luke, the recent Hayuki, and of course, Amy is still being the best DPS. So obviously, when you look at the meta, when you look at, if you've been playing around 2.0, you probably have a lot of these characters. The reality is Lucy isn't offering something new to your account. It's not doing, oh my God, I don't have like a strong DPS. I need one of the best DPSs to easily clear content. Well, Lucy isn't solving that problem for you. She's not solving an issue. If we scroll down over here to tier 1, you will notice Rebecca is here. Now, this breaks my heart. I'm not gonna lie. This is good because if we go over here to Honkai Star Rail, you will notice that Saber, the tier 1, in the tier 1, is the premium character, and Archer is the character they give you for free. So it kind of feels like Lucy's having a similar treatment to Saber, which I feel like is cool because, you know, you don't want those characters to be too powerful, or players might get a little upset because they have to deal with the predatory tactics to also check the box of power, right? A lot of players will be calling out this type of banner as a whale bait, very predatory. You know, it will make players even more frustrated that they have a harder time to get these characters. But at least when they're not that powerful, they're good, decent, solid units, but they're not the best. It makes players a little more, let's just say, tolerant towards these predatory tactics. However, the sad part is obviously Rebecca, because if you go over here, it's tier 1, and if we go to Honkai Star Rail, even to this day, Archer is considered the strongest DPS in the game, and he was given out for free. Now, obviously, you have to take into consideration, you have to play Sparkle, which also was given out for free. I also, this guy right here, I think he's also been given out for free. So you have probably the best team ever in the game completely for free, which is shocking to say about a Hoyo game, especially a Honkai Star Rail, which at some point made players just quit the game because of how, let's just say, power creepy it was. But that apparently has changed, and I'm really interested in trying Honkai Star Rail again because of that. But seeing Rebecca not being a top tier support just breaks my heart, man. She should have had the same treatment as Archer here of being a very, very powerful unit. It's a huge celebration every time players are, let's just say, slapping Rebecca in their team because of how efficient she is. Something like Lene or something like that. It would be a great reminder of the Cyberpunk collab, of the, let's just say, gratitude that the devs have shown towards the players, and of course how generous they were for making a character that is free to play, as powerful as it is, and as also as flexible as it is, because obviously Archer is DPS, everything needs to revolve around him, but Rebecca is a support. She could have made, you know, a lot of teams powerful like Lene, etc., which is just sad to see. So all in all, I feel like when you take these things into consideration, as predatory as the collab banners are, all in all, they're not that big of a deal. They're more of a collectible thing, if anything. There's also FOMO as well, because we don't have a guarantee of rerun. I think they probably will, like I said earlier, 70% chance they will. But yeah, it's not that big of a deal. To be honest with you, it's not that big of a deal. If you're more strategic than emotional in your approach about how you look at these banners, they're not that big of a deal. But obviously, emotionally, it's a bit of a big deal because Lucy's very hot, also very collectible, very rare, it feels like. So yeah, emotionally, if you let these emotions get to you, yeah, you will not have the best appreciation for this collab banner for sure. Now, where does this leave us off? Because I feel like that's a final question I forgot to ask at the start, but we kind of have to ask. Where it's over now. We don't know what the future characters are. We haven't met any character. We had references, I guess, from Ming Ting with Chi Yuan, right? At some point, he mentioned Ming Ting, which is just an extension of Huang Long, right? I'm pretty sure that's probably going to be our next stop, because what the fuck else are we supposed to do? Is it supposed to have no character at all? Obviously, I think they're going to explore that and set it up more in the second half of the patch when Lucille is available. So that way there's, something solid present there. Because I think the Cyberpunk collab, especially if you consider the Steam chart and everything, there's a momentum that Wuthering Waves is going with. It's really going up, and I feel like they want to maintain and keep taking advantage of that momentum. I think the best way to go about it is through Ming Ting, revisiting Huang Long, maybe explore Geshu Lin, which is basically the Varka of Wuthering Waves, right? I feel like that could be a great plot point that may get players really, really interested and finally satisfied in Ming Ting, because we've already took care of everything in Huang Long, right? The crisis there is over. This is just an extension of it. But we'll see. Maybe it's its own separate thing. Maybe it's like Septimon. I hope it is like Septimon and Renacida. They're like these two different factions where they feel like they're maybe in the same continent, but they're different countries where they do things different. I feel like that would be kind of cool. I'm pretty sure that's the way they're gonna go about things for sure. And can a ninja finally have a goddamn dedicated Jinsei support? I think that would be greatly appreciated. Maybe it's finally time, since we're going back to Huang Long, maybe it's time we dabble into the idea of buffing old units, Yilin, Jian, all these characters. Maybe a solid buff, a bit of a rework, especially for Yilin. Oh my god, like, can we just have a little bit of a rework to certain characters? That would be freaking fantastic, and that would shake up how things are. Because if we look at Genshin Impact, they're buffing characters over there. So you're telling me Genshin is buffing? Honkai Star Rail is buffing, for crying out loud? I mean, if we go back over here to the tier list of Honkai Star Rail, you have characters like Kafka and Black Swan. These characters came out like... Kafka came out, I think, at 1.2, 1.1. This is in 2.0. The game is at like 4.3. And you're telling me these are considered tier 0 units? Now, granted, of course, you probably need this character who also is dot debuff. But it's fine. Like... Bro, for example, Jinsei. Of course, I'm going to talk about Jinsei. You already knew I was going to talk about Jinsei again. So Jinsei could have let's just say, a more dedicated support, a 5-star that makes her crack, that makes her jump up in power. That would be good, because Jinsei is a very powerful unit, but she always felt like she was lacking something. That something is showing more and more and more as time goes on, with power creep being installed, which is a dedicated support considering the nature of her kit. Please do that, for example. That would be really, really good. I feel like that would, let's just say, re-spark that nostalgia, because I feel like there's already a bit of nostalgia. I haven't went to Huang Long in a long, long time. Going back there, seeing those characters, seeing us interacting with maybe potentially new characters that will synergize well with them, not only in the story but also in the meta, would be very, very refreshing. I, for one, I'm looking forward to that. I'll be honest, those are my hopes for Wuthering Waves going forward from here, because I feel like this is a great place. I mean, it's been quite the journey here reaching the Cyberpunk, but now that we're in limbo because we don't know where the story is going to go from here, well, I feel like they have a lot to cook up, and considering what we already know, Ming Ting, we're not close to 3.8, so it makes total sense for us to have an extension of an already existing region. Huang Long is the only one that didn't. They already mentioned Ming Ting with Chi Yuan, so it makes total sense that we're going there. And the best way to make it feel fresh, to make it feel great, is obviously through Geshu Lin's story being finished, maybe Chi Yuan as well. The new characters, of course, and of course buffing old units so that when they show up in the story, they're not these, I remember when you were good, you're so washed, man. No, they feel like, oh shit, they're buffed, they're this, they're that, oh man, this is amazing. And plus, as we all know, the stories are always, let's just say, a bit of an advertisement for the characters, and that would be a great opportunity to start rerunning some of those old 1.0 units with the advertising of them being in the story, being there, incentivizing players to want to pick these characters up even more. I feel like they win, as I just explained here. They have a way to take full advantage of this, and we have a way to be happy about it. So please just do it. Fuck. Look, I just want them buffed. All right, fuck. I'm just willing to go all the way. Yes, be predatory. Do those mental gymnastics. I don't care. Just buff them. Maybe it's because I already own them. That's why I'm not too worried too much about it. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, they could do it right. They could do it right. Just make them tier 0.5 like Lucy or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's been my take. Obviously, I'm geeking out a little bit over here. It's been really fun. But yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. Be seeing you.